What is up, you guys? Naesam here, and today I'm going to be doing my third and final legendary analysis video. And for anyone that doesn't know, that does mean I will not be doing enhanced because I just don't know the spec well enough. If you want an enhanced one, look in the description because I actually found a pretty good one by another YouTuber. It's a little outdated, but it is still pretty good. Anyways, this one's going to be on my Shadow Priest. Since Shadow Priest is going to be my main alt that I'll be using for split runs, which is basically, it's not even an alt really, it's like a second main. I decided since I'm pretty familiar with it, I decided I should go ahead and kind of introduce it to my channel by doing this legendary video and probably more content in the future. But without further ado, let's get started. So as you can see here, I actually don't have a geared level 110 Shadow Priest. I have to use the PvP realm. But maybe that's for the better because I actually get all of the traits on the PvP realm, but my eye level is quite low. See, it says 845 because I have all these legendaries in my inventory, but I can only use one at a time. So you'd have about 50 eye levels ahead of what I have currently if you were actually about to go into raids. So keep that in mind when you see my damage because it's going to look pretty low compared to what my shaman was doing. But either way, we're here, we have the legendaries and stuff, so we can still look at their effects and all, and get a pretty realistic view of what they'll be doing. So if you watched the Shaman one, you know that they were pretty underwhelming, but the Shadow Priest ones are a big difference to that, because a lot of them are actually incredibly good. So to get started here, we're going to be looking at the Ring, the Twins' Painful Touch. The equip is your first Mind Sphere cast after entering Void form, spread Shadowward Pain and Vampiric Touch to 3 enemies within 10 yards of your target. That is actually very, very powerful, especially for things like dungeons, because Shadow Priests are seriously struggling in Mythic dungeons because they don't do the AoE. But with this legendary, you can basically get all the trash mobs dotted up every time you enter Void form. Which, I mean, the dots do a lot of damage, so I'm going to assume Mastery is the worst stat, so I'm going to be taking this ring off. I don't know why I'm even bothering with that. But I'm going to go ahead and get into Void form here. Depending on how long it'll take, you may or may not be seeing this. DC, so I need to set my focus again. I don't know why I'm putting Vampiric Touch on, that does not actually help. So fortunately I'm using the talent to get into Void form early. So you get this, and you dot them all up, and then you Mind Sphere once, and everything in the area is dotted. It does not appear to refresh the dots, so you want to keep that in mind if you already have multi-dotting going on. Maybe you don't want a multi-dot going into Void form. But some of the artifact weapon things for Shadow Priest is pretty neat. All those balls flying out of me and stuff. But damn it, I covered my recount. But look at this. That is a very significant increase. Because normally you would definitely not be seeing, like any normal combat session, you would not see the dots being that high up. They may be on the top, but definitely not that high up. Like just to prove that, I'm going to go into Void form one more time real quick and not spread the dots. And that, wow, that does a lot of damage. I'm pretty sure that's an artifact trait. It's crazy. None of the Ellie traits seem to be doing that much. A little salty about that. But as you can see here, the dots are certainly not doing that much. They're actually doing very little, except for Vampiric Touch, apparently. You compare that to the last fight. Not sure that was the last fight. This one was the multi-dotting one. The dots together are doing 25 plus 33, and it's gone. But that is about 50-60% of your damage. 57-58%, as opposed to this current 21 and 5 is like 25%, which doesn't exactly add up since they're on 4 targets, but you can't really maintain it on 4 targets. Anyway, I'm just rambling right now. It's a very, very good trinket for dungeons and any like significant AoE in raids and stuff, or like burst AoE or whatever. If they're near the boss anyway, that is. Or you can just dot them up and then spread them. But yeah, that one is probably one of my favorite ones. The next one is the Shoulders Mother Shahra's Seduction. The equip is when you enter Void form, every seconds of remaining duration on Lingering Insanity grants you a stack of Void form. So for those that are not aware, and I'm getting the signature login freezes. For those that are not aware, once you exit Void form, you get this buff for you get to keep the haste that you got in Void form basically. For every second that you're in void form, you get 1% haste. You get to keep that haste buff for about 1 minute after exiting void form. So we're going to go ahead and get that buff real quick. Not much of it, just enough to test it properly. And then we're going to go ahead and see just how much this actually gives you. So it should theoretically give you about 8 or 9, depending if you're like super quick. Probably more like 5 or 6. But it's still definitely a boost to your sustained DPS because you don't have to do that super slow ramp up time every time you enter void form. So with 45 seconds, about 44 seconds, we instantly get 6 stacks. So that's, I mean, 6 stacks isn't great, but it's still 6 seconds of haste that you get to skip past. So yeah, that one, I mean, it's pretty good. It's not hugely amazing or anything like that, but it's definitely not bad. It's still something that would certainly be a DPS increase and just nice to have, I guess. Because it would definitely help with the ramp up times and stuff that Shadow Priest suffers greatly from. So this next one is actually the one I see being probably the most powerful, though it is a bit situational. But it is the Wrist and Unseared Shackles. Each time Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch deal damage, your next Void Bolt gains 2% increased damage, stacking up to 50 times. So we're going to go ahead and try this out real quick. But imagine this on like a council fight, because you can, if you use your Void Bolt on the right targets at the right time, you can consistently have 50, or can't speak, you can consistently have dots on 3 targets. So we're going to try and do that just to show it. So that thing is stacking up quick with these 3 targets. Keep that dot up. One fell off, I don't know why. I hate the in-air delay with Void Bolt here. But as you can see, like, if you look at the top corner there, it is stacking up pretty high each time. I fell out because I'm a noob. But Void Bolt hitting for 174k average, when normally, you know, like right-click this off or something right before we do it. Normally it would hit for about 95k. Obviously that's a non-crit though. On the last fight, this thing's trolling me. On the last fight, non-crit was 103k. But that's like the lowest. That's the absolute lowest. So it's definitely a huge increase if you get rolling and lots of, like, the dots start ticking faster and faster the longer you're in void form. If you have 3 targets, you can be using like Surrender to Madness and stuff. So that could be extreme DPS increase, especially towards the end of the fight on like a council fight. In council fights, they're usually at least 1 per raid. So this next one is the headpiece. Zenk, Aram, Irides, and Adam? I have no clue if I pronounced that properly. But the effect is healing from your Vampiric Embrace is increased by 250% while in void form. So a Vampiric Embrace already does 40% of any single target shadow damage as healing to a nearby ally. So that plus 250% more is a lot of healing. In void form is when you're doing your maximum damage. So I'm not actually going to show Vampiric Embrace without it. Kind of looks neat too. But I'm going to go ahead and close my bags here so you can see it. I have the overhealing tab up, since no one's actually low on health. And we're going to see just how much this can do. It lasts how many seconds? 15 seconds? Probably stay in void for that long. Better be able to. It's supposed to be my second main. We're going to go ahead and pop it now. So I'm doing a lot of healing. Here's even more. And that last 15 seconds, that did 2.5 million healing at 807 eye level, which is like nothing. And that was without hero, that was without flasks, food, anything. 2.57 million. That's enough to top off a tank if you're actually geared. So that could be extremely powerful on certain encounters, and honestly decently powerful on every encounter if you use it at the right time. So I mean, there's not really much else to explain about that one. It's just an incredible utility. So this next one is a waste. Mangaza's Madness. Equip increases the maximum number of charges of Mind Blast by 2. So that is 3 charges of Mind Blast, and I'm not not certain just how good this will be. Maybe if you find a situation to use Shadowy Insight, it could be incredibly good. But I think this one's mostly going to be really good for keeping yourself in Void form as long as possible. Like you can pull up the stack, or pull up the Mind Blast stacks as needed. You don't always need to use it if you have Void Bolts and stuff up, so it's like less wasted time. Probably should have let another one come off cooldown there. Like, I don't need to use it right now. Now it's more useful. And it makes it so you don't really waste it by sitting on it. So in the right hands, I can see this one being, like, incredibly powerful, actually. We can use this to stop it and let it continue gaining up. Same thing with Dispersion. And Disperse now. Hopefully we actually have time to cast it afterward. We exited combat. We did not actually have time to cast it, but if we had more haste, we would. I mean, there's not much else to explain about that one. Under multi-dotting situations, it could be similar to how Ellie Shaman Echo of the Elements used to be, and probably still is. So that, I mean, that one's, it's not amazing, but it's definitely good as well. So the last Shadow Priest specific one is Boots, Feet, whatever they're called, Norgannon's Foresight. Equip your instant cast spells, have a chance to trigger Foresight, making your next non-instant cast spell castable while moving. So this could be very good depending on how often this happens, because it doesn't say like it's how often, what the percent chance is. Obviously this is going to be best during Void form, because there's not, I mean, you have like one other instant cast spell. And if it's like a really high movement fight, especially if it's high movement during time you need to be doing a lot of damage, this could be very good. So far we have not gotten it to proc. We've still not gotten it to proc, so this is not looking particularly good. It is still not procced. There it is. So that one, I mean, if the proc chance is going to be that low, it's not going to be very useful, just being completely honest. It's good when it procs, if it procs at the right time, but you don't need to move that much normally. So it's mostly going to proc at the wrong time, unless it procs very often. So for a Legendary, this one's pretty underwhelming, especially considering it also has Mastery on it, which, as far as I know, is the worst stat, or at least the second worst stat. I'm not sure about versatility. Because I know Crit and Haste are the top. So that one was pretty underwhelming. So I actually did talk about these two in both my other videos, most in depth on my Ellie one, but I'm still going to talk about it here, especially because this is a different class. So a lot of the people may not have seen the Ellie one, since they probably don't play Ellie Shaman. So this one, Sephu's Secret, successfully applying a loss of control effect to an enemy grants you 70% increased movement speed and 15% haste for 10 seconds. This effect may occur once every 30 seconds. So fortunately, priests have a CC every 30 seconds. If you spec into it. Even if you don't spec into it, there is another option, Psychic Voice, that makes your fear every 30 seconds. So you pretty much always have something to do every 30 seconds that CCs. However, the downside is that it is a stun, which means a lot of things are going to be immune to it. Something I find out with the Shaman is that the root is actually oftentimes things that you would think would be immune to it, things that don't even move, you can actually use it on. Like I was using it on Tentacles, which seemed kind of strange, but I was okay with it because it gave me the buff, even if it didn't actually root it. So I'm kind of curious if it actually works, even if it doesn't actually apply the loss of control effect, like if you use a stun on a boss. If it does work, that is very likely a bug and will be fixed. But I'll go ahead and show this real quick. You go ahead and Mind Bomb every 30 seconds, and you get this 10 second 15% haste buff, which is going to be very useful, especially in Void form. Because in Void form you need the haste a little more than you would outside of Void form, obviously. See if we can stay in Void form for 10 seconds to see it. Hopefully we can, because this is supposed to be a class I'm good at. It takes a second to stun. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. It's definitely not a bad Legendary by any means. I would say it's better than whichever one I was calling this one, the boots. But the problem is you can't always CC things, and it's even if you can CC it, it's not always good to CC it. As in, like, you might actually hurt the raid if you stun them in the wrong place or something. So this one is going to have limited use, but when it's useful, it's going to be very useful. So this is the last legendary. It is another one that all specs have, and I'm pretty sure all classes have. It is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. It's a neck. It gives you a 15% absorb shield if you don't take damage for 5 seconds. It can only occur once every 30 seconds, and it lasts 30 seconds. In the 15%, if you were at the eye level that you'd be going into raids, you'd have about 2 million health as a DPS. So 15% is about 300,000 health. I can just go ahead and show you with this shit gear. If you just stand still and don't take any damage for however long, you get a 265,000 damage shield. So on fights with like bursty damage but not constant damage, this could be a very good boost to your defensives, especially considering like if you have multiple raiders using it. Every 30 seconds you get a 300k shield. The healers would probably love you, but I don't see it getting much use if you have almost any other legendary, because the other ones are just so powerful. Especially this one, if you're looking for extra healing, this is the way to go. So that is it for this video. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see something specific, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know. I'm a lot more likely to do it if I get a comment telling me that they want it. Like, if I get a request, I'm a lot more likely to do it because I don't exactly know what everyone wants to see. And if you want to see more from me, I make mostly Ellie Shaman guides and such. Possibly going to be PvP classes in the future, and definitely going to be at least some Shadow Priest content. So if you want to see more of that, go ahead and subscribe. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.